What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Neon Spotlight. This is the segment on my channel where I'm going back through Neon's entire filmography from the first film they produced all the way until whenever I get caught up. And this has been a lot of fun so far. I know I talked to you guys before about the A24 archive and how much of a blast I'm having doing that. I'm like 70 some films into their catalog, and I really wanted to do the same thing with Neon because I think these companies are showing like a production company can draw people in. A24 started, and people will now go watch a movie just because of the logo. And I feel like we're getting to that point with Neon, especially with the success of Parasite. I feel like Parasite really started drawing people into Neon, and then every single time you see that logo before a movie, you get really excited. At least I do. And so going back through their catalog, I'm watching a lot of movies that I may have heard of but never actually sat down and enjoyed. And this is one of those movies. I remember seeing the trailer for this when it was first released, but I never got around to it. And it was one of those things, it's a tennis movie, and I'm not like the most interested in tennis. I think there's interesting elements to it. And obviously, I reviewed Guadagnino's Challengers and I absolutely adored it. So I was interested in this just to see, especially because it's a biopic, and I was curious to see what I would learn about this because I'm sort of unfamiliar, other than I know John McEnroe from growing up and seeing him on TV and seeing him do interviews and what have you. And today I'm going to tell you about the movie Borg versus McEnroe. Borg versus McEnroe is directed by Janus Metz, the Swedish Björn Borg and the American John McEnroe, the best tennis players in the world, maintain a legendary duel during the 1980 Wimbledon tournament. So I was really looking forward to watching this movie, and like I said, didn't know much about the history behind this competition, so I didn't even know who won initially. And I really enjoyed this movie. I don't think it's perfect by any means. It definitely suffers from some pacing issues, but I think the two incredible lead performances and the cinematography and some of the other elements associated with the film make it a very captivating watch, and I'm excited to tell you a little bit about it today. So in the movie, we are introduced to obviously the two tennis players, John McEnroe and Bjorn Borg, and we're introduced to them right when Wimbledon is occurring. So the tournament is starting, and that's kind of the central focal point of the film. And what we're doing throughout is we're jumping to different periods in time. We see them in their youth, we see them growing up, and how they got to be professional tennis players. And we see the relationships that they have in their lives and how that kind of shapes them as who they are as people and what's kind of at stake for them. For Borg, the thing that's at stake for him is he's won Wimbledon 4 times previously. So this would be the 5th time in a row that he's won the championship. But for McEnroe, he's a new and upcoming player who's incredibly exciting, but he's known for his hot temper and how he constantly gets in an argument with the officials when he doesn't like one of their calls. And so because of that, it creates a really unique and interesting tension. And the entirety of the film is us watching this tournament unfold while learning more information about both of these people. So like I said, I really enjoyed this movie a lot, and while I don't think it's perfect, I do think it's a really solid biopic. And I want to start by talking about the performances. Sverrir Guðnason, I think is how you pronounce his name. I might have butchered that. Who plays Bjorn Borg is incredible in this movie. I feel like the movie definitely focuses more on Borg than it does on McEnroe, but I really liked his performance. I went online. I always do when I watch biopics. I'll go on YouTube and like watch interviews or watch matches for characters or whatever their profession is. I always try to go on and watch to see how accurate the interpretation is. And I think he does a really fantastic job, whether that be in his dialogue delivery, how he moves his body. He's just really impressive. And his character, I love his character, and just like the opposite with McEnroe, because he has these really intense emotions that he wants to express, but he's been told from a very young age not to. He's been told to internalize it and not let it out, which then you get to see kind of the anxiety and the struggles that he deals with when it comes to performance and how he has to be a perfectionist so that he doesn't snap. And I thought that everything about his performance was really great. Shia LaBeouf does a really phenomenal job of playing John McEnroe. He's always delivered great performances through his career despite not being a good human being. I feel like he is a talented actor, and this movie showcases why. He really is dedicated to this performance, and while he doesn't necessarily look completely like McEnroe, I think he really captures a lot of his mannerisms and in the way that he delivers his dialogue. And I think that both actors do a great job portraying these men in the best way they possibly could. I really like the cinematography and the editing of this. It's not always necessarily the most slick and stylish. I think they do a really good job when it comes to the tennis matches, especially. But like, I think it does a really great job at portraying these characters in a very intimate way where we're getting to know a little bit about them. And like I said, the parallels of these characters, because you have one who has kind of internalized everything for so long, but the other one lets everything out there. He doesn't let anything hold him back, but it's kind of a detriment to his career because people for so long have seen tennis as like this gentleman's sport, and he doesn't care about letting his emotions get in the way. He doesn't care about showing people his anger and rage because he feels like there's a level of authenticity to that. And so the cinematography, we get a lot of up close and personal moments that really get to show these characters through their facial expressions and reactions to certain situations that really make the film captivating. And I think both characters, for someone who knows nothing about tennis, I just thought that it was a really interesting watch. They both did a really fantastic job, and I was kept enthralled the whole time because of the cinematography. I also liked a lot of the sound design and the music choices throughout the film too. I thought it really carried the pace well. I do think there are some moments that it gets a little bit repetitive. And like I said early on in the review, this movie, it focuses a little heavier on Borg than it does McEnroe. It doesn't feel like the movie is equally weighted, but I'm not super upset about that because I feel like the movie still manages to hit its message home at the end. Like, you get enough about both characters to care about both of them to where it's like, who do I want to see win? Well, both of them are going through their own thing. You're kind of pulling for both of them in your head by the end of the movie. And that's what I liked so much about it, is that for you as an audience member, it's kind of nice to watch something where you don't definitively know what you want the outcome to be. And I'm sure like tennis fans out there, they already knew what was going to happen. But for me, it was kind of just like, I'm excited to see how this ends. And it was really great. I liked, sometimes I don't like it, but I liked like the text they included at the end of the movie and kind of giving us a little insight as to where the characters' careers went afterwards. But I think like as a snapshot of this particular period in time, you get enough about both of them to understand a little bit more who they are as people. And obviously when you're watching a biopic, you don't get to know every single thing about a person, but as far as like what they're known for and what they represent, I think this movie does a really good job at kind of showcasing that. And it was just a fun watch. Like it was one of those movies where I had pretty low expectations going in, because like this isn't necessarily the type of movie I'm just like, oh, I want to sit down and watch this today. But because it's in this series and because I want to watch all of Neon's movies, I sat down and watched it, and I had a really fun time with it. And I think if you check it out, you'll have a fun time with it as well. So have you seen Borg versus McEnroe? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was really entertaining, and I enjoyed myself quite a bit watching it. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.